What's up, everybody? Welcome to the most anticipated episode, at least among us. Every episode, we have talked about this movie. We have been hyped for this movie for the past probably 2 years. It has finally come upon us, and we have been graced with the presence of Spider Man No Way Home. Everybody here has watched it. We actually saw it as a group, and we are here to talk about it. Now, don't turn away if you haven't seen the movie. We are going to be spoiler free for the first part of this, and then we'll let you know whenever we move into spoiler territory. So don't fret. If you just want to hear our thoughts of just the movie itself, listen in, and then when we go into spoiler territory, like I said, we'll let you know. Starting first, what was everybody's overall reaction to the movie? So did it meet your expectations? Did it fall below it? Did it exceed it? If it exceeded it, how much did it exceed everybody's expectations?
It exceeded my expectations. Mostly. There was I had one expectation in the movie, and I guess I just made it up in my mind. And I'll go into it further later, but that would just kind of threw me off for a hair. And then after that, I mean, everything else outside of that blew me away, I would say.
My thoughts is I had a genuine fear that they released too much through the trailers, and movies have kind of been doing this a lot lately. In my opinion, they release these trailers and they release teaser 1, teaser 2, trailer 1, trailer 2, trailer 3, and they release so much about the movie, so much information that you can almost derive the entire movie from the trailers. And I was really scared because we did get a lot of content from the trailers. We got a lot of different trailers and a lot of content, and I was scared that they might have soiled the experience of seeing the movie by releasing too much information too quickly. And I can 100% say that they did not do that. There is so much thick story to this movie that was not released, and you need to go see it. 100%
have to.
Exceeded expectations, in my opinion.
So I have seen it multiple times.
How many times, Nathan?
3 so far, and it has exceeded my expectations. And it's like, I think by far the best Spider-Man movie that has come out. Which I didn't think about it until the other day. There's 8 Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the cameos in all the other movies that Tom Holland is in.
Yeah,
right.
9 if you want to
like Civil War
include into the Spider-Verse.
There's 8 standalone live action Spider-Man movies, which is like that's a crazy. I don't think
It's like
any
Batman
superhero-
numbers.
Yeah,
Facts.
this is like maybe Batman.
Superman
is the only
numbers.
other- I don't think Superman has that many. I think he has.
I think Superman has more than that.
He has
Does he? I thought he had
the original
5.
Superman. I want to say has like maybe 4 or 5, and then you have Henry Cavill's Superman movie, and then you have the other dude. There's probably like 7 or 8 Superman movies.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I guess I didn't realize that. I'm
Yeah,
not
there's
a huge
3 dudes.
Superman guy, so.
We're almost reaching Halloween numbers.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, there's 8
That's 5.
out of all 8 Spider-Man movies. This is the most Spider-Man movie out of all of them. It's a fantastic. Like, if you haven't seen it, go quickly.
I'd have to agree with all of you. The build up on Kyle's point, I was really afraid that we were getting a lot through the trailer because I've had movies in the past, one of them being Spider-Man 3 featuring Tobey Maguire. I watched every trailer, I watched every TV spot that I possibly could. And whenever I went to go see the movie, I felt like I saw the first 45 minutes of the movie. And I was really afraid that's what's going to happen in this. And there's other movies that done it. Transformers 2 is one of the examples. But I was really afraid that was going to happen. But yeah, they delivered, met my expectations, then exceeded them. And I have to agree, it's probably one of the best Spider-Man movies I have ever watched. And that's saying something because I hold Spider-Man 2 pretty high on the tier list. I'd even say it's better than Into the Spider-Verse. It is. I'm willing to say it.
I agree.
Die on that hill.
I agree.
I guess.
Following through with spoiler-free stuff, the main positives that I feel from the movie, without making any descriptions about the movie, is like the character development. There's a crazy amount of characters in the movie, right? That are, I would consider main characters. Like, normally I would say you have 2, 3, maybe 4 main characters that you kind of follow along with, and they develop, and you're really invested in, right? But in this movie, I would say there's a solid dozen, right?
Mhm.
That and each of them have arcs and development throughout the movie, and they do a very good job of staying true to the characters as they should be and
Yeah.
Yeah.
developing in a way that is true to the story,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this
you know.
movie is a really nice bow on this Tom Holland trilogy. Like they tied up everything, and like you said, Kyle, like it feels like everybody in this movie actually has a purpose. Like there's not a character that's like a story purpose. Like not even like there's not somebody there for like just comedic timing and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
the movie, there are very funny parts of the movie, um, but I mean it's just like kind of like little bonuses. But it's like it's it's a roller coaster of emotions,
Yeah.
for sure.
Even like with smaller characters, like Wong doesn't have a lot of screen time in this movie, but even he stayed true to his character, and there was character development in the short amount of time that he was in there. Like everybody,
Yeah.
like you're saying, Nathan, like everybody has a purpose in the movie. They're not just there to be there.
No.
And that's something that I really like, and I do agree that it is. I mean, do you have anything to add about that, Eric? Before I go on to my tangent.
I just feel like, as far as character progression goes, they're really sticking true to Tom Holland's maturing.
That's
They're
what I was
doing
gonna
a really
say.
good job, and they've carried that from the first movie to the third movie. They've continued to hit that and drive it home
Yeah.
that he is, obviously a kid, but he is rapidly maturing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say was a lot of the complaints about Tom Holland's Spider-Man through the first two movies is that he's a sidekick. He doesn't really feel like his own hero. He's always getting bailed out by other heroes. Like he's very reliant on other people. He's a kid, and
Yeah.
by the end of this second movie, it makes you appreciate those movies more because at the end of this movie, you realize it's like almost like a true trilogy. Like the other two movies exist because or this movie exists and is good because of the other two movies that set it up.
Yeah.
Like they build off of each other, and at the end of it you're like, oh, I see the bigger picture now. I appreciate those movies way more because I get to see the journey that got us to here, and I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
really cool.
One
Just
thing
to
I've
rewind a little bit, sorry, Nathan. It's just a tiny tidbit. So because Drew brought up Wong in his short screen time, and we've been talking about character development, there's also such good universe development, right? So specifically, I'm not going to go into detail until later on, but about the Wong part, but you get a very good amount of universe development from Wong's very short, almost cameo appearance, right? You get a lot of development there in the universe building, right? And I just wanted to comment on that. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is like one thing that I've noticed prior to this movie is all the Tom Holland Spider-Man, he's hasn't really been Peter Parker. He's been Spider-Man the whole time. So I think that's what a lot of the issue is with most people with his character. But I think going forward, like that'll probably be. It seems like they're finally embracing into the full character now that Marvel and Sony have kind of like they're done with their tug of war battle with the character. Just to
Bullshit
see,
drama.
yeah, exactly. So like
They're
now
both
there's like
making money.
yeah, like they
Millions, billions.
right, like Kevin Feige like recently kind of like told Sony, was like, if you guys want Spider-Man to be successful, you're gonna have to let him be in the MCU. Like we were saying, there's 8 other Spider-Man movies, and the reason there's 8 is because they like didn't do so great. Like obviously Tobey Spider-Man, he got to finish his trilogy, but that was supposed to be like 4 or 5
Four,
movies.
yeah.
There was plans for more. And then like Andrew Garfield's movies got cut short because not a lot of engagement. And I think now that like there's such a like the MCU is so big now, like it's like when you watch the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire to see where like the comic book universe or like cinematic universe has come, like how far it's come, it's like it's crazy to think that like in the first Spider-Man you get a handful of comic book characters and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm seeing it on screen. And then like now you get like Endgame where you're like, yo, there's literally too many to count like how many people
Yeah.
we're getting. So I think going forward, it's just going to be a lot of cool shit like that.
Yeah, and then that's kind of like what I was talking about with the character development. At least like how you were saying, like he's become Peter Parker. There, there's nothing in the first two movies I feel like, and like this is something that I've been told, and I like somewhat agree with, but don't 100% agree with. But there's not a lot of stuff that happens in the first two movies that when you look at Andrew Garfield Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, they always are having to constantly sacrifice to do the right thing, and they suffer from it.
Right.
And I feel like the Spider-Man never really felt that. And by the end of this movie, I like had the realization. I was like, oh, he hasn't been Spider-Man until this point. I think it's like the last 2 minutes of the movie. I was like, he hasn't been Peter Parker or Spider-Man until this point, and I now see him as a legitimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. The character development's what I'm crazy about this movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just because the way he was introduced into the MCU,
Mhm.
again, like with the Sony deal, like with where the MCU was at and the story that they were trying to tell, it was like a bonus that they got to add Spider-Man into the Infinity Saga because they were wanting to bring in a bunch of people. But since he got brought into that, like you didn't really, Tom didn't have this typical Spider-Man origin. Like he basically starts off on like a junior Avenger, and like
Yeah.
that's not how Spider-Man like how it works, like especially not how like high school Spider-Man worked. But like it's obviously their own interpretation, and they did a really good job. Like it was a very long story and it tied up very nicely.
So, um, if somebody isn't super into the Marvel cinematic universe like we are, what would be spoiler free? What would be one of the ways, or maybe something you try to convince them to go see it if they're like on the edge to see this movie?
I would say my brother. I mean, I guess you would have to know my brother personally, but my brother's not like into comic book movies at all. Like, not his favorite type. He thinks they're super cheesy, very predictable. Um, it was cool to see his reactions throughout the movie because, like, when I saw it with him, I had already seen it, so I was kind of like, I knew what points of the movie were going to be interesting, and like I could hear his reaction to some of it, and so like the fact that like my brother got a reaction, the reaction that it did out of him, where like it kind of like made it seem like he felt like he was like younger again or something. I don't know, but like as we were walking out, he was saying like that's like he's not really a fan of Marvel movies, but that's his favorite Marvel movie that he's ever seen, and like probably the best Spider-Man movie he's ever seen.
No.
It really is. I mean, they did such a good job on just tying everything together, just tying the characters in, wrapping up everything with them. I mean, they did a really fantastic job on just all of the characters. And we've said it already time and time again in
Mhm.
this episode alone, but just the character progression in every single person hard.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
All of them. Like they really wrapped a bow on every single character.
I literally felt like a 10-year-old for like the
Mhm.
2 hours and 40 minutes that that movie ran.
Yeah.
Like I was in awe of
It was
everything that
240.
was
Yeah, it's definitely long. But
doesn't
there's like
feel
a
like it.
story, there's a literal story within every character,
yeah.
and they wrap up the story on every character. They do such a good job with that.
Like by the time like my face was so sore just from like the smiling and just like all the emotions throughout that movie, just like intense.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's still crazy to me that you've seen it 3 times. So just like for point of reference, the Friday of release was 3 days
3 days
ago,
ago.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Nathan has seen it 3 times.
I've seen it
uh,
twice, and I would definitely see it a third time. I would pay to see it a third time, honestly.
Definitely.
well, like
It was
I
that good.
yeah. Plus, I took my nephew; he wanted to see it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll go see it a third time." I really
I'm not dogging you, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, it's an accomplishment. Like
I'm probably
Right,
gonna
yeah.
take Clarissa to see it
Um,
this weekend.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
Christmas
highest
weekend.
grossing Spider-Man movie of all of
I
them.
didn't think about that.
Christmas
Yeah.
movies are always fun.
It is
Yeah.
one of the highest grossing opening weekends. I think it's like a 280 right now or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, it
we've
was
seen
number
movies opening day, right? We went and saw, I went yesterday, so Sunday. We saw it on Thursday. It had Friday and Saturday. We went at 3 p.m. on Sunday, and the parking lot was so damn full, bro. We had to fucking fight for a parking spot. The theater's like 5 minutes down the road, so we left here at like 3:15, and the movie started at 3:20. I was like, oh, it's plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, it took me 15 minutes to find a parking spot. Thankfully, the previews hadn't even started yet. But that's the first time since the pandemic has started that I've seen a movie theater packed to the brim.
Yeah.
Not an empty seat in the house at all.
And just to answer my own question, we are using a lot of phrasing like wraps up, completes the journey. I feel like this movie is a good standalone Spider-Man movie. I feel like you don't have to know what's happened the past two movies to really,
Oh yeah, definitely.
get into what's happening. It's not like,
Yeah.
Unlike Homecoming, it's not like harping on Tony and like characters from other movies. Like this is all set pretty much within the Spider-Man universe. Like it's an MCU movie, obviously, because Doctor Strange is in it and shit like that. But this is definitely just like it's all Spider-Man territory. Like there's not a whole lot of intermingling. I mean, there are bits where you, like Kyle said earlier, there is universe building, so you do get glimpses of kind of what's going on in the MCU now, post Endgame and shit like that. But it's not a ton, I guess. But
like I said, I feel like you can go into it not knowing what happened really in the MCU universe and just have a
yeah,
general like a general fondness for Spider-Man and still really enjoy
it's
this movie.
definitely the beginning of a new phase. So
Yes.
Yeah, that's why like I feel like wraps up is
But that's
kind
what
of definitive.
Yeah, that's
but
what
it's
it
a good term because
well,
it definitely wraps up like a good phase of like it wraps up kind of like the immature portion of his life.
Yeah.
And moving forward, you're gonna see like a different Spider-Man, right? Like one that's not relying on other people, one that's self-sufficient, and he's gonna find his own problems and he's gonna deal with his own struggles by himself, kind of thing.
You're gonna see a more Peter Parker-y Spider-Man. He's
Yeah,
not
for sure.
relying on Tony Stark's dead. He's
Spoiler alert. We said no spoilers.
Well, you know what? We'll just do that. Ready? Warning! Warning! We are now entering spoiler territory. If you haven't seen the movie, fucking turn this shit off. You want to know why?
Do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Motherfucking Tobey Maguire, bro. My boy.
Oh my god, it was so hyped. Like
literally as soon as he came on screen, like Nathan was saying earlier, I became 10 years old again, and I was smiling. I was kicking my feet in the chair anytime he was on screen. It was so oh my god,
like all the callbacks. And
one of my favorite things about the way they pulled Toby in is they pulled Andrew in first, obviously. We're in spoiler territory. He's in full Spider-Man. He's like running around like MCU New York and Spider-Man. You get to see him. He's like proving he's Spider-Man. He's on the roof, right? And then they try again. They shift over. Tobey Maguire just walks in like a sweater. He's like
Facts.
A cool youth
He's
pastor.
in full like
What's up, guys?
dad material. Yeah. Hey guys, it's Peter Parker here.
Peter Parker
coming at you
here.
live.
Like they almost like don't even think it works at the beginning. They thought they just pulled in some
dude.
guy.
Some guy was probably named Peter Parker or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Now that we're kind of in or not kind of, but now that we're in the spoiler territory, I think my favorite part of the whole movie, and honestly it's probably one of my favorite scenes in the MCU in general, is the condo scene when he's fighting Doc Ock, or not Doc Ock, Goblin.
Green Goblin.
His fights with Goblin in general are just so fucking brutal, and like he did
he did all of his own stunts. Willem Dafoe.
Let him,
Yeah, that's why. 66 years old, bro.
I knew you were gonna love that fight scene as many suplexes
love
as I
Willem
saw,
Dafoe.
and I was just like, Nathan,
bro, the fucking no, like literally my favorite part is when he runs and he jumps on him with his knees in the corner, and he's just punching him and elbowing him. He's just and I'm like, I fucking love Willem Dafoe so much. And
He's such a good actor, bro.
Yeah, like Batista bombs him through multiple stories of an apartment. It's like you didn't get to see the superhuman aspect of Green Goblin in the original Tobey Maguire movies. Like, and I think
That's why I
that's
told
just
Nathan
because
that.
it was so new. Like, it's
Yeah.
literally like the first superhero movie, more or less, like modern superhero movie, I guess. And like, yeah, like we got a much more like physical Green Goblin, and
Yeah.
like I was bummed that he got rid of the mask, and I thought that
Yeah.
that was gonna make me take away something from the character, but honestly, it didn't. Like,
I
I
yeah,
mean, there
like the
was
He was
hooded Willem
sitting there.
Dafoe face.
yeah,
yeah,
like
well,
he's
Whenever
so
he was sitting there-
expressive that like he doesn't like the mask is. I
Yeah.
definitely see why they did that. Like a mask is such a hindrance to like him.
it is a hindrance to his performance, but whenever he threw the pumpkin bomb, that I don't have to say spoiler, that eventually killed,
May.
R.I.P.
May.
Aunt May.
Three
It was
times I've
kind of
had to
funny.
watch it.
It was kind of
Bro.
funny. He was just like, and I was, just,
Yeah,
I was
Yeah.
like, that's a little memey.
yeah.
You can't be doing that.
But
What are you
I
gonna say,
think
Eric?
that's like I don't know. I guess I kind of felt that was kind of like a callback to the Raimi verse of like it is real. It was like real campy universe, and he was a goofy dude. But it's also like they were really like Green Goblin in this movie is like way more unhinged and deranged
And way more scary.
Yeah.
He's way
Yeah.
scary.
Facts.
Like,
I never
Way
realized
scarier.
that Green Goblin was so like physical,
Yeah.
right? Like, because I don't remember that from the original
Yeah, it
series.
was
So
mostly-
was telling Nathan that like during the movie, I was like, bro, I don't remember this. This is fucking sick, bro. I didn't realize that he was gonna be so like, I'm gonna
Cutthroat.
beat your fucking ass about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
in the Raimi verse, like he was like it was mostly like glider centric for him. Like it was check out his glider and check out his pumpkin bombs.
Yeah.
He's not going to be physical. I think he has like he really only has one hand to hand combat. I feel like with Peter, and
Towards
like
the end.
that's at the
Yeah.
end when he dies.
Bro, Norman or fucking when he says he's on sabbatical, honey, lives rent free right here,
yeah.
right in the back of my brain.
like-
it gives me the chills in such a good way.
Yeah.
He's on sabbatical.
Speaking of like that scene, one like I remember whenever he's talking to Doc Ock after like Peter fixes Doc Ock, which was a great scene. His emotion with the like the voices are gone. Like I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Like, and even like his just Doc Ock's interactions with Spider-Man throughout this whole movie were all just chef's kiss. Like I
With
loved it.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah,
with
like even at
Spider-Man,
the
for
end
sure.
when like he was like Peter, how are you? When he sees Toby and it does a callback
Yeah.
where
He's
he's
trying
like,
to do better.
trying to do better.
Yep.
But when
But so I'm like, okay.
I was gonna say like when he's talking to Norman and he's like, "Aren't you ready to like be whole again? Just you?" And he's like, "Just me." I'm like, "That's the fucking Goblin!" Like,
Yeah, bro. That shit, yeah.
and then
when Peter gets the
Peter's tingle goes off, that was such a cool scene where
They
like,
did a really good
yeah,
job
like,
of like depicting an invisible, right? Because in the
Yes.
animated series, you get the
I'm gonna
things,
say it
but
because I noticed it, or maybe you did.
Yeah,
too,
when he
but
got
when he
pushed
got
out.
when he got
Yeah.
astral projected, did you see like the comic book like Spider-Man or Spidey
I didn't.
sense?
yeah,
yeah, it's
it's a
fucking
cool
sick.
Spidey sense. It's super sick.
Yeah,
And it took
I
me.
fucking love that.
Yeah, it was my last rewatch where I saw it, where I was just like, "Oh, that is sick! Like that's so
It's a
cool."
super
Yeah.
cool
I'll see.
Easter
I'll make
egg.
sure I'm paying attention on my third rewatch.
Yeah, but yeah, like when
Also-
he's
Go.
Okay, so it's a completely different point, but whenever Tom Holland Spider-Man was fighting Electro, I didn't realize that his fucking Spider-Man suit's inside out.
yeah,
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
I
It's
just
an
wasn't
inside
paying
out
attention
suit.
at all, I guess. And so like it didn't really click in my mind
There's
because I
like
wasn't paying
wires
attention.
hanging out
I
of
wasn't
it.
looking at the suit like that hard, and I was like, "Oh shit, his suit's inside out."
Yeah,
Now I see the wires.
Did you
Yeah,
get
it's
that
like
the
when
second
he's-
time, or did you realize sometime during
Second
the
time.
first?
Second time.
It's when
for
he's
sure.
washing it. They're like,
yeah, and he just like flips
it's
inside
like that
out.
could work.
It's like, oh, this will
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I was like, that man's got a lot of suit. A fucking black Spider-Man suit, like a black and gold, outside of like Miles Morales would be sick.
Yeah, I think I leaned over to Drew and I was like, "There's no way that suit just, no way it works inside out, right? Just from a physics
All the
Random
suits are pretty
technology,
cool.
bro.
I'm really excited to see the suit at the end of the movie. The
Oh my god,
newest
same.
Peter
It
Parker
looks
suit.
so cool.
But so like, I noticed one of the things that I realized is so, the movie ends with Doctor Strange doing a spell, so everybody is going to forget who Peter Parker is. Like literally everybody, so nobody remembers who he is anymore. And I realized that that's why he had to make a new suit, because his Stark suit no longer could recognize him. He couldn't even get into it. I don't think he can use those suits anymore.
That's an interesting theory. I
Yeah,
kinda
I've never
like
seen that fan theory before.
Yeah,
That's
like,
pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not like that's an AI, right? That's not.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
feel
Well,
like
that's
that would.
so Doctor Strange. The way he did his spell, he erased Peter Parker from like books. Like Peter Parker was the most famous person using first person in the world. So if he had to erase him, he had to erase him from like the internet. He had to erase him from everything. So if he erased him from the internet, he erased him from the AI. Like,
Yeah, that's
It's a good
actually
theory.
really good.
I like
point.
it.
I like that. Yeah, I never thought about that.
yeah. So
What
like
was,
that's why we're gonna
I'm
get
not sold on it.
What was
I don't know.
everybody's favorite Spider-Man moment?
definitely.
When they all
100%
swing around the Statue of Liberty.
No, 100% when they were in the lab and Ned's like, Peter.
Peter.
And they're like, yes. And then he's like, no, Peter Parker. He's like, we're all Peter Parker.
But I feel like that scene didn't get enough appreciation. Like that's the Spider-Man meme. Granted, I feel like Tom Holland kind of fucked it up a little bit by not turning.
I
around
loved
and pointing
it.
at
I think that was my favorite
But
Spider-Man
yeah,
scene.
I was just like, that's
for
the
sure.
meme. I don't like.
I think that whole entire. I mean, that's probably like the most Well, no, there's interaction between Peter and Peter between Toby and Andrew.
Peter one.
I like that whole entire lab scene because I got a lot of like the jokes that everybody's been wanting out of it, like getting
So
confused with
great.
Peter, doing the
Yeah.
slight meme thing, fucking Toby with his organic web sling, like,
Facts.
it's like, you can't do that.
So does it just come out of your wrists,
Right,
or
that-
does it come out
So
of
you just
anywhere
make
else?
the web inside your body?
was my
Well, I don't
favorite
like
part.
actively do it.
Like that scene.
It's like I don't do breathing.
Yeah, that scene felt like it was literally just those three as Spider-Man talking to each other as other like actors that have played Spider-Man. Where he's just like, "No,
Yeah.
dude, you're amazing." When he was just like, "I'm lame compared to you guys. I fought
Oh, on
these
the balcony?
characters." Like, it literally felt like those three characters just actually talking about like the characters they've played. Like it.
That's
felt
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's like how I like how meta it is because most people
Yeah.
do shit on Andrew Garfield. So I liked how like he was just like, no, you guys are like way better than me, and they're just like, no, bro, like you're
No,
good.
you're cool
Yeah,
too.
you're amazing, bro. You're amazing.
The
Yeah.
amazing
I like that,
line was
yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
For sure, yeah.
When he's like, Spider-Man 3, like shrugs his hands up. Like he was great. Like plus his character arc and his redemption of finally getting to save MJ. And like he's such a
Chills.
good actor. Like
Getting chills
so
just thinking about
Yeah,
it.
that's great.
good.
And it's like, and that's like it's like a 15-second scene, and it delivers super fucking hard. And this movie, like I was kind of saying pre-spoilers, like this movie makes you appreciate his movies, like Andrew's movies. It makes you
Yeah,
appreciate
for
Toby's
sure.
movies more.
yeah,
Like I don't know.
it makes
I don't
those
remember who
movies
I was
better.
talking to. I was
It's like
talking to one of y'all. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was talking to one of y'all after the movie. So one thing that I could really appreciate about all of the villains they brought back is they were really able to do a lot of justice, especially to like Jamie Foxx's character. Like they did him so dirty in the movie, right? And they were really able to redeem themselves in the villain portrayal as well,
cameos.
right? So
Yeah.
not just it's not all about the Spider-Man, right?
Right.
So a lot of the redemption was in the villains that were
Yeah,
poorly
for sure.
portrayed in the Garfield movies, right?
I liked the interaction in between the villains, like that. The
Yeah.
whole basically fucking 2 hours of the movie almost, right? They're all interacting with each other, and I loved that.
Especially the scenes where they're getting captured and like they're slowly
Yes.
coming in and they're just like, no, that's Harry Osborn. And he's just like,
Yeah.
Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's the lizard. He tried to turn everybody in New York into a
Yeah.
lizard. Yeah, like all the banter between them, like giving their backstory.
It was great.
Honestly, Jamie Foxx was a really funny Electro. Like he was like strong and interesting as a character, but he was also like a pretty funny dude. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember if he was like funny in the original ones. I don't think he was.
I don't think he was
What-
terrible, but I don't think he was like great. My
I
favorite
don't-
thing is that they did the electricity as like
A crown,
a mask.
power
Like
up.
they
yeah, that was
they
sick.
did the old school uniform,
Yeah.
but like as an electric
Yeah.
mask. I thought that was
dope.
super good revival because
Yeah.
he was just like a blue glowing thing in the movie. Like there, it was like
Yeah.
a terrible portrayal
Yeah.
of Electro.
I liked how it seems like they were actively making fun of how he fell into like a vat of eels in the Spider-Man movie too.
Yeah.
With him and
Sure.
Sandman being like, so how'd
Yeah.
you get your powers? He's just like,
Yeah,
"I fell in the
hilarious.
sand." Yeah.
You really gotta watch out where you fall.
Fall.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But like even like the Willem Dafoe redemption was pretty cool too. Like even at the end of him, like I like how in this one it did like give you a more concrete idea of what it's like for him to be the Goblin, where he was just like, I literally don't remember shit that happens
Yeah.
like while I'm in it.
Sometimes I'm not
Yeah,
myself.
like, and it was like heartbreaking when he was with May at the homeless shelter. He was like, Oscorp doesn't exist here. My son doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Like
That wasn't even the
that.
most emotional part for me, dude. When he got put in the cage and he was like, "Peter,
Yeah,
Peter!
Peter, help.
Peter,
Yeah,
Peter." I was like, damn.
For me, with Osborn, the most emotional part was whenever he realizes, whenever they hit him with the serum at the end, and he realizes everything that he's done and sees that he just stabbed Peter because he looked at, or
Toby Peter.
yeah, Toby Peter, yeah, Toby Peter, because he viewed him like a son in the Raimi verse. So it's really sad to just kind of see like what the
Yeah.
hurt on his face.
yeah. I almost had a heart attack when that happened. Like I know Kyle
Yeah.
noticed it when he got
Yeah,
stabbed. I was
I
like,
gasped
like,
audibly.
oh fuck! Like I
For
was.
sure.
My opinion of that movie would have been so different if they killed Toby Maguire. Like, um,
Yeah, I was in
Uh,
denial whenever it happened. Like you took it for the moment, and I was just like, "They're not gonna. There's no way. They're not gonna kill Toby."
I don't know. Like I was prepared for like one more death. Like Aunt May was heart wrenching. Like every time, and I've
Yeah,
seen a
it's
couple
sad,
people
yeah.
bitch about the way that she said the "with great responsibility" line, but that's the comic book line. Like that's the comic, like she said the comic book version of the line. Like, with great power comes great responsibility. That's like the cinematic version. Like the way she said it is the way that it was said in the comic book the first time.
Yeah.
So like that, like they didn't fuck it up. Like with as much work as Marvel does into their movies, like they're not gonna mess something like that simple up. I think they did it that way because Stan Lee's not here to see that movie, and that was the way Stan Lee wrote it.
It's like an homage.
Yeah, but like that's another thing that's like honestly heart wrenching is like that he would have loved to see that movie. Like his cameo definitely would have been at the end when he walks into the coffee shop. That's who MJ would have been talking to, before.
And
she
they
turns
made it
around.
look like him.
Yeah,
I like for a
it's kinda like
split
soft
second,
cameo,
I was like,
feel
"Oh shit."
yeah, it's like a
They, I feel like they might have put him there with the possibility of maybe doing a CGI double. There's like having that actor there, so they could just put his face on it. And
I'm
they're
glad
like,
they
it's out of
didn't, though.
Yeah,
I don't like
because it would have
that.
been bad taste for sure.
yeah.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
enjoyed
I
it.
would have liked maybe
This-
have a statue of him or a poster or a picture or something, but don't make
Body
An
double.
Excelsior poster would have
A
been sick.
picture of like
Don't
one of the
fucking Princess
regulars in the
Leia
diner.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What'd you say?
yeah.
like his
Your
picture.
mic is
cutting.
cutting out.
Oh, okay. It's just I found out last episode. It's just Discord. I think it would have been cool if they had his like picture as like one of the regulars in the diner that she works at. I feel like that would have been tasteful.
Like the
That would've been
like the
sick,
Bruce
yeah.
Banner in Homecoming.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they'll find a way to like keep his kind of like cameos going in some sort of way, like
Yeah.
something like that. Because I feel like you can do it respectfully and tastefully with stuff like that.
I don't think they will. I don't think because you
But
can't have the
you
gap,
probably
right?
won't,
If
yeah.
they were gonna do it, they would have picked it up immediately. And now I feel like you can't have the gap, right? Because the thing was, he was in every movie, right?
Yeah.
He was in every Marvel movie, and then so now that there's a gap, there's no way that in my opinion, that they start it up again.
I think it's okay not to start it up again because he's in every single Infinity Saga movie. He's literally
Yeah.
from Iron Man to Endgame, so you can stop here. You don't have to have
Yeah,
him
I
in
guess
every
that's
movie.
that's fair. That's his cameo arc. But yeah, like the Octavius character development was pretty cool. I liked how he was. I going into it, I didn't think he was going to be fighting against
a lot
the
of reverb.
Spider-Man.
I don't know if
Just keep the mic close to your mouth.
I was going to say, like going into it, I didn't
no
think.
on your mic, Drew. Sorry.
I'll edit it out.
I was just say like going into it, I didn't think that he was going to be fighting the Spider-Man. I knew he was going to be on their side. Like considering it would have been taking steps backwards for that character. He was already redeemed at the end of Spider-Man 2. It wouldn't like. Granted, I know they pulled him a little bit before he did that, but it's still like it would have been too messy to like try to rehash all that shit, and it would have like undone the work that the other Spider-Man 2 did. But what I was going to say earlier as well is when I said that like this wraps up the Spider-Man movies really well, I think it wraps up like all of them. Like it wraps up the Tobey movies well. It wraps up Andrew Garfield's movies really well. Like everybody gets their nice little bow. But I don't think that's the last we're going to see of some of the like the other Spider-Man.
I don't think so either because release The Amazing Spider-Man 3 is trending on Twitter right now. Like they want
Yeah.
another Andrew Garfield movie.
Well, that and they technically at the end of this movie, when everybody gets cured and sent back, he creates 7 different branch timelines. So there's now 7 new timelines. So I think those new timelines are going to come into effect in the Multiverse of Madness.
I hope so.
Which at the end of there's 2 post-credit scenes. You find out that this kind of was a Sinister Six. One of them just didn't show up. Venom just went to a bar in Mexico and got hammered the whole time.
Which is a very Venom move.
Yeah, and then he gets sent back to his universe, but a little bit of the symbiote gets left behind. And since it's hive mind, I don't know how that's going to work as far as like it
There's I
forgetting
saw
Peter Parker, since it's multiple.
a rumor
universes.
about Venom, Flash becoming Venom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anti Venom Patriot or whatever.
Like
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
kind
oh.
of see that. It's like they set it up for like definitely Flash being a weirdo type dude, but I don't know if I could. I don't want that dude to be Venom. Man.
Did
Like,
y'all
I
know
agree.
about those high school reporter releases?
No, I
Right?
didn't see anything about it. Mm-mm.
Neither either.
So the clip you're talking about where the blonde chick is recording Flash, right, in an interview and it says Patriot, that's what you're talking about, right? That's not like a deleted scene. There's an official MCU, I don't know if it's like a YouTube also, but it's a TikTok page
oh yeah, yeah.
that's just her doing interviews at the high school.
What?
And it's like canon.
Yeah, I've seen them. I had never watched them because I was trying to stay away from spoilers. But yeah,
It's
I'm gonna have to watch them now,
canon.
though. That's crazy.
yeah.
Like,
I'll have to
it-
watch
There's
that-
it.
also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but another thing that from the movie, but in the trailers, Strange or Wong says, "Strange, don't cast that spell,"
He doesn't say
and
it.
he doesn't say that in the movie,
Yeah,
which is weird.
I think it's one of
Well,
those
that was
alternate
just
takes that they do.
Yeah.
That they're just trying to create a
Yeah.
narrative so you at least know what the movie's about. Like when he says
Yeah.
that, you know this spell's going to be a huge problem, which it turns out to be
Yeah.
the biggest problem.
I was
Does anybody have
surprised that
any negatives about the movie?
Uh,
I just want to be true to a review, you know.
So if I did have anything negative to say about the movie, it would, even though I think with the time that they were in the movie was very well spent and it didn't feel like I got robbed, I would have liked to see Andrew and Toby in it just a little bit more. Because I mean,
I can agree with that.
I went to go see the movie to see them, so I would have liked more. But what I did get, I'm not ungrateful for. I'm very grateful for what I did get, but I would like to see more. I mean,
I would have
Yeah.
just preferred that final scene with all 3 of them and the final team up would have been in the daytime. With it being nighttime, it was real hard to differentiate which Spider-Man you were looking at. And like there's so much noise going around that you can't really tell. Like obviously when they do close-up scenes you can tell who's who, but like I think one of my favorite scenes of the movie as well is that scene where they're running off the scaffolding and they all jump off and they go do the pose. Like that is such a cool scene because like that's also first like the uniting. They finally figured out how they're going to take these guys down. They're going to fight them. They're swinging through the scaffolding. They like slingshot each other around, and it would have just been cooler to like be able to see them more as Spider-Man and less as just like shadows with a Spider-Man mask.
Yeah.
Like I do remember there's one distinct part where Tom Holland Spider-Man gets like thrown through the scaffolding and he's falling down and he's got a blanket on him the whole time that like stays on him like perfectly as he's falling down, and I was like, I thought that was a weird choice for that. I assumed
I mean, it's
it
a
was,
tarp. It kind of shows that he gets like wrapped up in
well,
it.
he wasn't wrapped up in it though. Like it was just like because I've seen it a couple times. He's just literally like just on top of him like a blanket. Like it seemed like that was maybe just to like for editing purposes or something. Like I don't know. Like it was just a weird choice for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was pretty easy to differentiate because
what about you, Kyle?
Tom Holland's
Sorry.
costume is much different than the other two, and then Andrew Garfield's eyes are bigger.
Yeah, well,
So
with what he's saying, it's easy. I feel like it's easier to tell Tom Holland apart from the other two. It's whenever
Yeah.
they're
yeah, because
moving
it's
fast, Toby and Andrew are interchangeable at that point.
no.
Yeah, because his eyes, the size of them, it doesn't matter when they're like far apart from each other. Like, um, but I the reveal of just all of the suits in general were pretty cool. Like, I'm glad that I guess that they held off on the Toby a little bit more, just because it would have been too quick, I guess, because like Andrew comes in full suit. Like, it was cool to have, like, plus Toby's Spider-Man or Peter Parker is a much more like
Recognizable.
wise, well, like his character is just like a more wise, like calmer Spider-Man. It seems like he's been through a bunch of shit. He's not,
Most developed.
yeah, he's more mature. Yeah, like he's just, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one part when they're like, "All right, let's like suit up. Like, are you just gonna go as a church camp counselor?"
Yeah,
or
great
whatever?" He's just
line.
like,
Great line.
"I got it, bro. I always got it on me, bro. I'm good."
We strapped.
Yeah.
Stay strapped.
I feel like from the first preview, I expected Doctor Strange to be in the movie a bit more.
Yeah, me too.
That fight scene was pretty good, though.
It was a really
yeah,
badass
Yeah,
fight scene.
it was no 100%. But I just expected him to be like, because that was like the biggest part of that first trailer is it kind of harped on that fight scene. So I expected there to be more animosity and more showtime for him battling Strange. But I enjoyed
Yeah,
the entire movie.
going off of
It was perfect.
what we were talking about earlier. I mean, they really only showed probably like a few clips of the battle, but most of the trailers were like the first 15 minutes of the movie, and you still had a whole
Yeah.
another
Facts.
2.5 hours of movie to
Yeah.
enjoy.
And then just
Yeah.
since we're kind of getting closer to the end of this episode, speaking of trailers, what I was saying earlier is the second trailer in the movie.
I don't want to
is,
jump into that until we're all done with Spider-Man.
Well,
Yeah.
As
I know.
like, I think we should
Yeah.
transfer from Spider-Man to the next stage. But what I was gonna say about my negative is
Oh yeah, sorry.
I kind of didn't enjoy as much as the rest of the movie is the scene where they're all like harping on Uncle Ben dying, like on the top of the rooftop. I didn't like love it. I feel like that it was a bit drawn out, right?
Yeah, I can feel that.
In my opinion, I feel like they kind of it was definitely for a purpose, and it was kind of show that Tom Holland hadn't gone through his hardship yet. But it felt like a 10-minute scene that probably should have been like a 4-minute scene, in my opinion. It just felt
I don't
like
know.
they
I
just
enjoyed it.
kept going. They just
It made me
kept
misty-eyed as
going.
fuck.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Didn't have any time to like any downtime from like May dying to them talking about Ben dying. So it was like
about
emotional,
me.
and then like yeah, and then they dropped down to like them finding the Peters, and then back to emotion. I'm just like, I thought we were getting past this, bro.
Though I will say it was super cool whenever MJ's like, "We've like found more people," and then you just see them. I thought
Yeah, that was
cool.
a great scene.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
for
really
sure.
sick.
Or there's some people here that want to talk to you. Or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that's
and
what
then
Or
she
help
they all
you or
jump
something like
down.
that.
Yeah, that was sick for sure.
Yeah, and like they all like them slowly step it, like Peter one like grabbing MJ and Ned, like getting in front of them, like what the fuck, not knowing who they are, and then like slowly coming in the light, being like, no, it's cool. You're Spider-Man too. Like it's pretty cool. Like
There's also sorry, good.
no, you're good.
There's one in that scene. There's something that Andrew says that we never really saw in the movies. And it's basically like giving us like a little peek what happens in between Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and now. Is where like after she died, like he wasn't pulling his punches anymore, and he was like more
They
rogue.
got rageful.
And then that made me think that maybe, and this is just me theorizing, but maybe like during that time he had a symbiote suit, and that's what he was referencing to, was that he found the symbiote suit, made him vengeful and mad, and he wasn't throwing his punches anymore. He was just going out on criminals. That's what I thought when he said that. Probably not accurate,
I
but
don't think so, because when they're talking about like what's the coolest villains you fought, Toby brings up, I fought a black goo space thing.
Oh,
He may have
yeah.
said
That's right.
something. He just says he fought Rhino, which so when Strange like breaks the portal, and you can like the universe is breaking and the spell is like opening the multiverse.
But yeah, you can see him.
You can see I couldn't see it the first time, but after a couple views, you can definitely see it. There's at least 3 different Spider-Man villains in the, I don't know what to call it, the portal, I guess. There's
Yeah,
Rift.
I was wondering who that
The
fucking
Rift.
Rhino dude was, but now that you say that, it makes so much
yeah,
sense.
there's Craven the Hunter, which is the guy that's got like the spear. And then there's Rhino, which and it looks like
I
my
saw
favorite
Rhino
part.
the first time.
Yeah, I love that it's the comic book like version of him and not
Yeah,
like the
just
mech
a
suit
horn.
Rhino. Yeah, and then 3, there's definitely a scorpion tail. When I saw it last, it kind of looked like it was an actual scorpion, like not just the tail. So I don't know if maybe what it was. I mean, maybe it was just the easiest way to do them since they don't have a character design for him or
I
something.
was just imagining like a mechanical or scorpion and like just a dude's head where his head is supposed to go.
Oh, you mean the Rock, the Scorpion King?
yeah,
exactly.
So going along with that portal, right? When the portal first breaks and there's one person showing,
I still don't know who it is.
I really think it's the Watcher.
I mean, that'd be cool because
He's
it's
got a
That would
big
be
like
super
that, I
cool.
think, right?
yeah, he does. He does.
It's not
That's-
that big,
It's
right?
pretty big.
It's about as big as yours, Kyle.
Yeah, there was definitely a part where it looked like there was kind of a face in the background. And I think that the purpose of What If was to kind of show you that that's a thing. This is
Yeah, 100%.
multiverse is weird. Shit's about to get wild. It's
Well, I mean,
kind of-
even
it's
in
a
What
clue
If-
into what's about to happen.
Even in What If, all of the rifts between universes are purple, right?
Yeah.
And so when in the live action, when they break the realities, it's purple rifts. It's
Yeah.
like it's very linear.
They're doing a really good job of tying just everything.
Everything. And they've
together.
always been good at that,
Yeah, no, I did
100%.
Well, they're flexing now, low key.
In fact, no, for real. They are
They're tying other universe.
They did tie another universe. Flashpoint, Flash's book. That was definitely like a nod at
Oh,
DC.
100. It had 100% had to be a DC. Like, your movies suck.
All right, I think we should call it here. I don't want to, but we're gonna have to.
I think we
call
should
it
do
here.
final thoughts Spider-Man. I would like to. I
Yes,
do want to
okay.
go in the post credit.
Okay, so we'll go. Kyle, Eric.
I have no final thoughts.
Oh, okay.
I just want to give everybody else a last chance.
What I was gonna say earlier is the second post-credit scene is like the Multiverse of Madness trailer, and they set that up pretty heavy. That Strange's spell fucked up, and like it fucked up the entire timeline. So I think that's because because he created 7 new branch timelines, and then fucking mind wiped everybody. So I think that we're gonna see Toby in another one. I think I would like to see Sam Raimi get to like wrap up his trilogy because I think Scorpion was rumored as one of his Sinister Six people or something like that. So I would think that maybe like part of it would be having Doctor Strange having to go to the universe that he sent Peter Parker to get his help for something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. It'd be a cool thought.
Not so much about the Universe of Madness or
Multiverse.
Multiverse of Madness. The thing that I liked, I'll make it really short because I don't want it to go too long. The thing that I like about the ending of this movie is that, like I was saying, pre spoilers, is that this movie at the end he feels like Peter Parker. He makes the right choice at the end of the movie. Whenever he goes to meet MJ and Ned, he sees that they're okay without him, and he makes the choice that doesn't benefit him by leaving them be. That's a very Peter
Yeah.
Parker thing to do. And then he's out on his own. He makes his own suit. His apartment's not exactly like, but has echoes of Toby's apartment from like Spider-Man 2 and 3. And his suit is very Spider-Man. It's like he made his other halves, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna do an homage within my new suit that I have to make. And he just he transformed. He was in a cocoon and he came out as Spider-Man. That's all I really wanted to say.
I'm excited to see where he'll go.
Yeah.
To build on that, so Drew was talking about. So I would change it a little bit. So Drew said that he comes into a coffee shop and he sees that they're doing fine without him. I would alter that a little bit. I would say that it's not completely accurate. So he goes into the coffee shop with the paper to reveal himself. That is his plan.
Yeah.
And he goes in and he sees them and they are doing good without him, but he still is going through with his plan. He orders his coffee, she brings his coffee, he's about to read his plan, she puts her hair behind her ear, and he sees the scar, the mark. So it's not that they're doing fine without him, it's that they're doing better without him.
Yeah, no, I agree with
That
100%.
So I think, like, because it's not about being fine without him, it's that they're
no longer in harm's way.
better
Yeah.
without him.
Yeah.
And then he
When it-
puts it in his back pocket and he leaves.
Yeah, no, I
think
saw that
was-
too. Whenever he just saw her band-aid, you could see the realization on his face. Is like, oh, she no longer has to deal with that. She literally has a
Yeah.
metaphorical and physical band-aid to cover all the
Mhm.
harm he did to her. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that was a callback to what he says to her earlier in the movie when he's trying to give her the cube, and he says, "I can't do this if I know that you guys aren't safe. They're safe.
Yeah.
They don't. They have no tie to him anymore." So I think that's what it was. As he was saying, like, that's what Drew was saying. Like, it was he would love to tell them, but like he had to sacrifice that, and that's like he had to because he can't do it if he thinks that there's a possibility of them getting hurt from his actions.
Yeah.
And
I really hope
all-
that they build on Gwen
I
in the
don't.
next 3.
I don't. I want them to bring in fucking Black Cat. I want him to
Yeah.
have his like he's single now, even though he still has MJ. Felicity kind of brings in a danger to the whole thing. He can be a little bit more raunchy. He's in college now, bro. I will want Black Cat so fucking bad.
Plus, they
I
haven't
don't
done it in
think they're
any
done
of the
with
other ones,
MJ.
right?
There's a hint in it in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. She like works for Oscorp. She's like a personal assistant. That's about as much as they've done. It's the chick who's in Rogue One. She plays her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Everybody good? Everybody got what they think they wanted to get out?
Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed us talking about Spider-Man. If you are still listening and haven't seen the movie, sorry.
Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. At least go
Hurry
see it for
up.
yourself. Yeah.
I'm
You did this to yourself,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
for sure.
sorry.
Natalie.
We gave you ample warning.
Yeah,
or
we
Natalie,
did.
I'm sorry. She didn't have a choice.
All right, guys. Y'all take care. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.